What's something you saw as a kid but didn't realize was messed up until you were older? Every Saturday morning at exactly 7 a.m., my dad would wake me up with a huge smile and say, "Ready for another day at the job site, buddy?" I'd jump out of bed, throw on my miniature construction vest, and grab my plastic hard hat. I felt like the coolest 8-year-old in the world. Dad owned what he called specialty construction sites all over the city. We'd drive to these half-finished buildings in different neighborhoods, always parking in the back where other cars couldn't see us. He had keys to every single one, which I thought was amazing. Perks of being the boss, he'd tell me. Inside, these places were mostly empty concrete shells. Dad would set me up in the main area with my Legos, toy trucks, and a cooler full of snacks. "You're my site supervisor," he'd say, ruffling my hair. "Keep an eye on things while I handle the paperwork in the back office." I took my job seriously. I'd build elaborate Lego cities while Dad disappeared into a small room behind a heavy metal door. Sometimes I'd hear muffled voices, but Dad said that was just adult work stuff. The visitors always confused me. These weren't construction workers in hard hats and dirty boots. They were men in expensive suits carrying leather briefcases, usually arriving in shiny black cars. They'd nod at me politely before disappearing behind that metal door with Dad. "Business partners," Dad would explain when I asked. "They helped Daddy with construction." What really impressed me was how successful Dad's business was. We lived in the nicest house on our street. Dad always had thick rolls of cash in his wallet and would peel off hundreds like they were singles. New car, cash. Family vacation, cash. When Mom asked where all the money came from, he'd just smile and say, "Construction pays really well when you know the right people." I started noticing weird patterns. We only went to these sites on weekends when normal construction workers weren't around. Dad never wore work clothes or came home dirty like other dads in construction. His tools were always perfectly clean, and I never actually saw him build anything. One Saturday when I was 9, I dropped my favorite toy truck and it rolled under Dad's desk in the back office. The door had been left slightly open, which never happened. I crawled under to retrieve it and accidentally bumped something with my head. A hidden panel in the desk popped open, revealing neat stacks of cash rubber banded together and several plastic bags filled with white powder. There had to be thousands of dollars in there. The powder looked like baking flour, but it was in much smaller, carefully sealed bags. Dad's voice behind me made me freeze. "Find your truck, buddy?" I turned around slowly, still crouched under the desk. His face had changed completely. The playful dad expression was gone, replaced by something serious and almost scary. He knelt down beside me, his voice very quiet. "You see, son, sometimes grown-ups have to do special kinds of work that kids wouldn't understand. This is one of those grown-up secrets that has to stay between just us men. Can you do that for Daddy?" I nodded quickly, suddenly feeling like I'd seen something I wasn't supposed to. Dad's smile returned, but it didn't reach his eyes this time. "Good boy. Now this is very important. If anyone ever asks what we do on Saturdays, what do we tell them?" "We go to construction sites," I whispered. "That's right. And what do you do there?" "I play while you work." From that day forward, I felt different during our Saturday trips. I was part of something bigger now, something secret and important that only grown-ups could understand. Dad started giving me a $20 bill after each visit, telling me it was my supervisor salary, but that I shouldn't mention it to Mom. This continued for almost 2 more years. I got really good at answering questions about Dad's work without actually saying anything specific. When relatives asked what kind of construction he did, I'd just say building stuff and change the subject like Dad taught me. Everything changed the weekend after my 11th birthday. We were at our usual Saturday site when I heard car doors slamming outside, followed by heavy footsteps and shouting. Dad's face went white as he looked out the window. "Police! Building surrounded!" Dad grabbed my shoulders. "Listen very carefully. You're here because Daddy brought you to see a construction site. You were playing with toys. You didn't see anything else. Do you understand?" The next few minutes were chaos. Police officers in bulletproof vests came through every entrance. They handcuffed Dad while I stood there clutching my Lego spaceship, completely confused. A kind female officer knelt down next to me. "Hey, sweetie, you're not in trouble. Can you tell me what you and your daddy were doing here?" I repeated exactly what Dad had taught me to say, but as I watched them load bags of evidence into police cars, I started realizing that maybe our Saturday adventures weren't what I thought they were. During the trial, I learned words like distribution, money laundering, and drug trafficking. Dad hadn't been running construction sites. He'd been running a drug operation, and those business partners were dealers and suppliers. The worst part was realizing how good I'd gotten at lying for him without even knowing I was lying.